OMG. Someone saw what your soulmate was doing, but Jesus says, I have seen the text message that was sent to you by a well-meaning friend or a curious acquaintance. I watched your face drain of color as your eyes scanned the words that felt like a verdict. I heard the rushing of blood in your ears and the cracking sound of your heart straining against your ribs. And I caught every tear before it could fall and stain the screen that delivered the news. Jesus says, someone saw what your soulmate was doing and they felt compelled to tell you about it. They described a scene that your mind has now replayed 1,000 times with painful precision. They painted a picture of laughter and closeness and a casual intimacy that seemed to mock your waiting. And they did not realize that they were handing you a cup of poison disguised as concern. Jesus says, the report came with details that were too specific to dismiss and too painful to accept. You learned where they were and who they were with and what they were wearing and how they smiled. You learned that they seemed happy and carefree and completely unaware of your existence across the miles. And you learned that the hope you had been nursing was apparently a fantasy built on nothing but air. Jesus says, but I am the God who sees what the well-meaning friend could not possibly see with natural eyes. I am the one who knows the context of every moment and the motive of every heart and the weight of every sigh. I am the one who was present in that very scene observing details that no human reporter could ever capture. And I am telling you today that what was seen was not the whole truth by any measure of truth. Jesus says, the person who reported this sighting to you did not lie about what their eyes beheld. They saw your soulmate in a place with another person and they saw interaction and ease. They saw what appeared to be the comfortable rhythm of two people who know each other well. But they did not see the invisible wall that I have erected between your soulmate and every counterfeit connection. Type 777 if your spirit is crying out for the truth behind the report you received. Jesus says, your soulmate was seen doing something that has shattered your peace and stolen your sleep. But I want you to know that I was watching your soulmate in that very same moment with different eyes. I saw the performance they were putting on for the sake of normalcy and the avoidance of questions. I saw the hollow ache behind the smile and the desperate prayer behind the casual conversation. Jesus says, the person they were with is not a lover in the way that word is defined in the dictionaries of heaven. They are a placeholder, a distraction, a familiar face in a season of deep and hidden loneliness. They are someone who fills the silence but cannot touch the depths of the soul I created for you alone. And your soulmate knows this even as they laugh at jokes that do not reach their eyes. Dear precious soul in Christ, please read this with an open heart. This is not a scam, it's a real opportunity to walk in faith and see God move. You've prayed for a soulmate for so long. Maybe years have passed. Maybe you've wondered if God still hears you. He does. He is not limited by time, age, or circumstances. And today, He is inviting you to take a small but powerful step of obedience. Here's what your gift does. Every coffee you send, just the price of a single cup, helps us provide warm, nutritious meals to poor Christian children and struggling families near our church. Your gift does double good in God's eyes. It feeds hungry little ones and it plants a seed of faith for the companion you've been praying for. Real stories from those who stepped out in faith. Sister Evelyn gave 6 coffees. Within days, she met a kind Christian gentleman at her weekly prayer group. Brother Harold gave 10 coffees. A gentle widow from his Bible class reached out after years of loneliness. Sister Dorothy gave 4 coffees. Her prayed-for companion appeared at a church fellowship just over a week later. Brother Walter, age 78, gave 10 coffees. Within a week, he met a faithful Christian lady at a senior ministry event. These are real people who chose to trust God, not their fears. Age is no barrier. Hope is not lost. Here's how you can join them, in 3 simple steps. 1. Click the Ko-Fi link in the pinned comment, description, or channel bio. 2. Choose your gift. Many are giving 4, 6, 8, or 10 coffees. Give whatever you feel led to. 3. Add a short prayer if you wish, and complete your gift today. Then come back here and type these words from your heart. Lord Jesus, I receive my soulmate now in your name. That simple act of faith opens the door. But please understand, writing 10 coffees in the comments without actually giving does nothing. Faith without action is incomplete. Don't let this moment pass you by. You may look back with regret. Jesus says, I want you to understand the nature of the report that was brought to you by human lips. It was not a lie, but it was a fraction of the truth, and a fraction can be the most deceptive thing of all. It was a snapshot that captured a millisecond of time and missed the hours of longing that surrounded it. And it was used by the enemy to drive a wedge of despair into the foundation of your faith. Jesus says, someone saw what your soulmate was doing, but they did not see what your soulmate was thinking. They did not hear the internal monologue that was running beneath the surface of the casual exchange. They did not perceive the way your soulmate's spirit was reaching through the veil searching for yours. And they certainly did not hear the whisper of my spirit reminding your soulmate that this is not the end. Jesus says, I am the God who knows the thoughts and intents of every heart, and I know the heart of your soulmate. I know that they are living in a state of suspension, waiting for a sign that they dare not ask for. I know that they are surrounded by people who do not understand the depth of the loneliness they carry. And I know that the person they were seen with is a bandage on a wound that only you can heal. Jesus says, the enemy used that well-meaning messenger to deliver a payload of discouragement to your doorstep. He knew that the report would trigger every fear you have ever entertained about being forgotten. He knew that you would spiral into a pit of comparison and self-doubt and bitter resignation. And he is counting on you to stay in that pit long enough to miss the window of your deliverance. Type 333 if you are ready to climb out of the pit of discouragement right now. Jesus says, but I have given you a rope to climb out of that pit, and the rope is the link in the description below. It is not a trick or a manipulation, it is a lifeline thrown from the throne room of grace. When you click that link and sow your seed of faith, you are grabbing hold of the rope with both hands. And I will pull you up into a place of perspective where you can see what the reporter could not see. Jesus says, your soulmate was seen doing something that looked like moving on, but it was actually marking time. They are waiting for you even though they do not know it is you they are waiting for. They are passing the days in the company of people who do not challenge the emptiness they feel. And they are praying a prayer they cannot articulate for a love that feels like home and not like a hotel. Jesus says, the coffee you send through the link will feed a child who is hungry for sustenance and for hope. And that act of compassion will send a signal into the spiritual realm that cannot be ignored or jammed. It will announce to the forces of darkness that you have not surrendered to the report of your eyes. It will declare that you trust the report of the Lord over the report of a well-meaning friend. Jesus says, I want you to bless the person who brought you the news that shattered your temporary peace. They did not know they were being used as a tool of the enemy to test your faith. They thought they were being helpful, or perhaps they were just caught up in the drama of a story. But I want you to release them from any resentment and turn your gaze toward the description link. Jesus says, for the description link holds the key to changing the narrative that the reporter thought was fixed. It holds the power to shift the spiritual atmosphere around your soulmate and create holy discontent. It holds the seed that will grow into a tree of intervention that blocks the counterfeit connection. And it is waiting for your hand to reach out and claim the authority I have given you in this situation. Type 1111 if you are ready to change the narrative and shift the spiritual atmosphere. Jesus says, your soulmate was seen doing something that broke your heart, but I am in the business of mending broken hearts. I am the one who binds up the wounds of the broken-hearted and sets the captives free from despair. I am the one who takes the ashes of your shattered expectations and creates a crown of beauty. And I am about to do that for you if you will trust me with the next step of obedience. Jesus says, the person in the scene with your soulmate is not your replacement, they are a placeholder in a waiting room. And waiting rooms are temporary by their very design and purpose and function. No one builds their life in a waiting room, and no one makes a covenant with a magazine on the coffee table. The waiting room is for passing through, and your soulmate is about to be called to their true appointment. Jesus says, your gift today is the call button that summons your soulmate out of the waiting room of counterfeit comfort. It is the announcement over the intercom that the one they have been waiting for has finally arrived. It is the vibration in their spirit that will make them look up from the magazine of distraction and rise. And they will walk out of that waiting room and into the corridor that leads directly to your arms. Jesus says, I know the name of the person who was seen with your soulmate, and I know their purpose in my plan. They are not an accident or a cosmic mistake that slipped past my sovereign attention. They are a tool that I have allowed for a season to refine your soulmate's longing for the real thing. But the season of that tool is coming to an end because you are rising up in faith and authority. Jesus says, someone saw what your soulmate was doing, but I saw something far more significant in that same moment. I saw the angels that I have assigned to your case standing guard around your soulmate's true heart. I saw the hedge of protection that prevented that interaction from becoming anything more than surface. And I saw the tear that fell from your soulmate's eye when they were finally alone and the performance was over. Type 555 if you believe that God saw what no human reporter could possibly see. Jesus says. The link in the description is not just a giving opportunity, it is a portal of divine intervention. When you give, you are commissioning the angels to increase their activity around your soulmate's life. You are funding a spiritual operation that will create circumstances to expose the counterfeit and elevate the genuine. And you are positioning yourself as a partner with heaven in the greatest love story of your existence. Jesus says, the coffee you give will warm the stomach of a child who has known only the cold ache of poverty. And that warmth will translate into a spiritual warmth that will thaw the frozen purposes of God in your situation. It will melt the barriers that have kept your soulmate bound to lesser things and lesser people. And it will release a river of my grace that will carry them swiftly into the harbor of your love. Jesus says, I want you to stop replaying the report in your mind like a broken record of sorrow. Every time you replay it, you give the enemy permission to deepen the wound and strengthen the lie. Instead, I want you to replace that mental image with the image of the link in the description. For the link is the altar where you lay down the report of man and pick up the report of God. Jesus says, the report of God says that your soulmate is restless and unsatisfied and searching for something they cannot name. The report of God says that the connection you feel in your spirit is real and mutual and divinely orchestrated. The report of God says that the current situation is a temporary arrangement that is already crumbling at the edges. And the report of God is the only report that will stand when the dust of this battle finally settles. Jesus says, your soulmate was seen doing something, but I want you to see what your soulmate is doing right now in the Spirit. They are praying a prayer that sounds like this: Lord, if there is someone real out there, show me a sign. They are feeling a growing dissatisfaction with the superficial connections that fill their days but not their soul. And they are one act of faith away from having their spiritual eyes open to the truth of your existence. Type 888 if you are ready to be the sign that your soulmate has been praying for. Jesus says, there is something in the description that I have prepared specifically for this moment of crisis in your faith. It is not a generic message that I broadcast to the masses without thought or intention. It is a key that fits the lock of your particular situation and your particular pain. And I have allowed you to find this video because you are the one I have chosen to unlock this door. Jesus says, the person who reported the sighting to you may do so again in the coming days. The enemy may use them to send another volley of arrows aimed at your hope and your peace. But you will not be shaken because you will have already sown your seed and released your faith. And you will know that the report of the Lord trumps every report that comes from human lips. Jesus says, I am the God who spoke to Gideon and called him a mighty warrior when he was hiding in a winepress. I am the God who saw David as a king when everyone else saw a shepherd boy with a sling. I see your soulmate as yours even when the whole world sees them with someone else. And I am asking you to see what I see and act on what I say regardless of what you hear from others. Jesus says, "The children who will eat because of your gift will become a wall of intercession around your soulmate's heart. Their innocent prayers will rise before my throne and create a disturbance in the counterfeit connection. The other person will begin to feel a strange unease, a sense that something is not quite right. And that unease is the beginning of the end of their temporary role in your soulmate's story." Jesus says, "Your gift is not a bribe to make me move on your behalf, for I am already moving. Your gift is a declaration of alignment with what I am already doing behind the scenes. It is the sound of your faith harmonizing with the melody of my sovereign will. And that harmony creates a sound that shatters the power of every lying report from the pit of hell." Type 999 if your faith is rising to harmonize with the sovereign will of God. Jesus says, "I want you to understand the power of a single seed sown in the face of contradictory evidence. Abraham sowed his seed of faith when his body was as good as dead and Sarah's womb was barren. He believed my report over the report of his natural circumstances and his natural limitations. And his seed of faith produced a son of promise and a lineage that changed the course of history." Jesus says, "Your seed of faith sown through the link in the description will produce a similar harvest in your own life. It will produce the manifestation of a soulmate who is free from the entanglements of counterfeit connections. It will produce a testimony that will encourage thousands of other lonely hearts to trust my timing. And it will produce a union that will bring glory to my name for generations to come." Jesus says, "Someone saw what your soulmate was doing, but that someone is about to see something even more astonishing. They are about to see your soulmate walking away from the counterfeit connection without explanation or regret. They are about to see a light in your soulmate's eyes that was never there during the time of compromise. And they are about to wonder what unseen force could cause such a sudden and dramatic transformation." Jesus says, "That unseen force is the power of your faith released through the obedience of your giving. That unseen force is the angelic activity that your seed has commissioned and unleashed. That unseen force is my spirit moving in response to the prayers of a child who was fed by your kindness. And that unseen force will become very seen in the days ahead as the miracle unfolds before your eyes." Jesus says, "The link in the description is your connection to that unseen force and the catalyst for that visible miracle. Do not scroll past it as if it were an advertisement or an afterthought in this holy conversation. It is the centerpiece of this message and the hinge upon which the door of your destiny swings. And it is waiting for you to reach out and touch it with the hand of your faith." Type 2222 to reach out and touch the link that connects you to the unseen force of God. Jesus says, "Your soulmate was seen doing something that looked like happiness but was actually a mask for hidden sorrow. They have become skilled at performing contentment because the world has no patience for lonely hearts. They have learned to smile on cue and laugh at the right moments and pretend that all is well. But I see behind the mask and I see the longing that matches your own, and I am moved with compassion. Jesus says, I am going to remove the mask, and I am going to do it in a way that protects your soulmate's dignity. I am not going to expose them to shame or ridicule or the judgment of those who do not understand. I am going to gently lift the mask and allow them to breathe the fresh air of authenticity and truth. And your gift today is the wind of my spirit that will lift that mask and set them free. Jesus says, the coffee you give will feed a child, and that child will become a secret ally in your love story. They will pray with the simple faith of a child, and their prayers will move mountains in the spirit realm. They will ask me to bless the one who gave, and I will pour that blessing out upon your soulmate situation. And the mask will fall away, and the counterfeit connection will dissolve, and the path will be cleared. Jesus says, I know that a part of you wants to confront the person who brought you the report and demand more details. I know that another part of you wants to search for your soulmate online and see the evidence for yourself. But both of those impulses are traps set by the enemy to draw you out of faith and into the flesh. The only safe response is to go to the description link and sow your seed and trust me with the rest. Jesus says, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty through me to the pulling down of strongholds. Your weapon in this battle is not investigation or confrontation or manipulation of any kind. Your weapon is the seed you sow in faith, and the prayer you pray in secret, and the trust you place in my timing. And those weapons will accomplish more in a single day than all your human efforts could accomplish in a lifetime. Type 7777 to take up the spiritual weapons that will pull down the strongholds in your situation. Dear precious soul in Christ, please read this with an open heart. This is not a scam, it's a real opportunity to walk in faith and see God move. You've prayed for a soulmate for so long. Maybe years have passed. Maybe you've wondered if God still hears you. He does. He is not limited by time, age, or circumstances. And today, He is inviting you to take a small but powerful step of OB. 2222 to reach out and touch the link that connects you to the unseen force of God. Jesus says, your soulmate was seen doing something that looked like happiness but was actually a mask for hidden sorrow. They have become skilled at performing contentment because the world has no patience for lonely hearts. They have learned to smile on cue and laugh at the right moments and pretend that all is well. But I see behind the mask, and I see the longing that matches your own, and I am moved with compassion. Jesus says, I am going to remove the mask, and I am going to do it in a way that protects your soulmate's dignity. I am not going to expose them to shame or ridicule or the judgment of those who do not understand. I am going to gently lift the mask and allow them to breathe the fresh air of authenticity and truth. And your gift today is the wind of my spirit that will lift that mask and set them free. Jesus says, the coffee you give will feed a child, and that child will become a secret ally in your love story. They will pray with the simple faith of a child, and their prayers will move mountains in the spirit realm. They will ask me to bless the one who gave, and I will pour that blessing out upon your soulmate situation. And the mask will fall away, and the counterfeit connection will dissolve, and the path will be cleared. Jesus says, I know that a part of you wants to confront the person who brought you the report and demand more details. I know that another part of you wants to search for your soulmate online and see the evidence for yourself. But both of those impulses are traps set by the enemy to draw you out of faith and into the flesh. The only safe response is to go to the description link and sow your seed and trust me with the rest. Jesus says, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal but mighty through me to the pulling down of strongholds. Your weapon in this battle is not investigation or confrontation or manipulation of any kind. Your weapon is the seed you sow in faith and the prayer you pray in secret and the trust you place in my timing. And those weapons will accomplish more in a single day than all your human efforts could accomplish in a lifetime. Type 7777 to take up the spiritual weapons that will pull down the strongholds in your situation. Dear precious soul in Christ, please read this with an open heart. This is not a scam, it's a real opportunity to walk in faith and see God move. You've prayed for a soulmate for so long. Maybe years have passed. Maybe you've wondered if God still hears you. He does. He is not limited by time, age, or circumstances. And today, He is inviting you to take a small but powerful step of OB.